Hey everyone, how are you? In this video, I will tell you how can you create a GUI calculator or a graphical user interface based calculator using pure Python code and the TK module which is used to create desktop application. Our calculator is going to look something like this, what you can see on the screen right now. And this can perform all the basic calculator functionality like add, subtract, multiply or divide. Let us say 12 plus 36 equal to 48. That's correct, right? And now I can say minus, let us say 6 equal to 42, right? Multiply by 2 equal to 84. Divided by 5 is equal to 16.8, right? So it looks good. And even you can type in this particular text box as well. You don't need to only use the buttons. I can say plus using my keyboard 12 plus 10 minus 5 and multiply by 2. And I can say equal to, and it will give you the result, right? You can see the result. And also we have the C button to clear our screen, and we can say C and the screen will be cleared. So it has all the basic calculator functionality, and it is a very simple app. To be honest, it is very simple, but it is a very useful project for anybody who is trying to learn about Python and trying to create small beginner level projects, which is going to teach them, or which is going to teach you some very important concepts of how to actually create a project using Python. So let's get started. I will minimize this, and we have two files. We are going to create two Python files. One is going to be logic.py, where our calculation will be performed, and another is going to be main.py. So I have created a folder GUI calculator, and I have two files, logic.py, main.py, and another is notes.md, where I have just written the small notes. So we are going to first start with main.py. Now in this main.py, first of all, we need to import the TK module of Python. And of course, you should have Python already installed to use all these functionality and to create your project, right? So I can say import Tkinter as TK, right? Basically, Tkinter is the module name, and we are importing this with an alias of TK. So we are going to use Tkinter module with TK keyword or TK word. Now let us create a class. Let us create this project in a really good way, in a really professional way, not just some random code. So we are going to create a class, and let us call this class as calculator app. Now in this class, first of all, we are going to create our constructor. So we can say def underscore underscore init underscore underscore, and then we can say self comma root. Now this root is actually going to be our initial TK window. We are going to create a window using the TK module or an instance of the TK module, and we are going to call our calculator app and pass this root to this particular instance. So I will write our logic in this calculator app, but first of all, let me show you how we are going to use this. So we can say root is equal to TK, and this is outside of our class, right? So we are going to create a root variable, which is actually going to be the instance of the TK class. So we can say TK, this TK is coming from the Tkinter. TK, let me actually get rid of this terminal for now. So TK dot TK. Now we have created an instance of the TK class, which is coming from the Tkinter module. And now I can say app. Let's create our calculator app. We can say calculator app, and we need to pass our root here. So this is the class we have created, and we are having a constructor which is accepting the root window or the root instance of TK, and we are passing it here. And then we can say root dot main loop. Basically, we are running this particular window, and we want to make sure that this window keeps on running and doesn't close. We have to just close our program just using this cross button to actually close this window. Before this, our program should just keep on running. So we just need to use this root dot main loop, right? Now let's come back to our original logic, which is the instance, the calculator app class and its init function or the init method, the constructor method. In this, first of all, we can say self dot root is equal to root, right? We have created this variable root in our calculator app, an instance variable, and its value is going to be this root, which is actually coming as the TK window. Now we need to do some functionality. We need to add something in our class. As of now, if I just try to run the logic or run the code, let me open our terminal, and if I just try to run the code, you will see a blank window. Let me close this earlier run which we had and clear the console. And now I can say Python space main.py. If I hit enter, you will see that we got a simple window, right? This window has a default title of TK and nothing else, right? The program is still running because of this root.main loop logic. And now if I just close this, you will see that the program run has completed. So now we have to do some functionality, add some functionality in our window. So I can say self.root, this self.root dot, basically our root has a function or a method called as title. In this, we need to pass our title of the window. So I can say Python calculator, and then let's actually set the resizable functionality of our window as false for now. So right now, if I just run the code again, and now you will see that our window has this title, Python calculator, and this can be resized, right? It can be resized in the x-axis and in the y-axis as well, right? But let's limit this functionality. And if you want to limit the functionality, you can say self.root.resizable, and in this you need to pass false, comma false. Basically, both x-axis and y-axis resizable functionality is as of now stopped or just not allowed for now. Now let us add another variable, another instance variable, and call that as self.expression, which is as of now empty. Basically, our window is going to have a text box in which we are going to enter our calculations, right? So basically, if I just run the code again, basically we want first of all, you can see that now we cannot resize our window, which is fine. Now I want to add a text box, and this text box, in this text box we are going to enter our expression, the mathematical expression which we want to calculate, right? So for that we have created this variable self.expression, which is going to hold this particular value. Now we need to create another variable called as self.input underscore var. This is equal to tk.string var. Okay, now this particular variable is actually going to store the value which is going to be entered into the text box by some user. Expression is going to be the final output actually. So basically, when somebody wants to enter in our text box as 2 plus 3 minus 8, so this particular value will be holded by this particular variable input var, and whatever is its output, its output is going to be minus 3. So the self.expression is going to hold this output. All right. Now we need to actually create an input box, right? So we can say tk.entry. This is how you create an input box, and I want to create an entry box, and this I want to create in this root, right? So I can say root. Basically, root is our window. This is the window, right, in which we are doing all the things. Now we need to make sure that whatever is being entered into that box, that particular entry or that particular data will be holded by this variable input var, right? So there is an argument called as text variable, and this is going to be equal to self.input underscore var. All right. So let's actually store this in a variable. First of all, we can say input underscore entry is equal to this box. Now I want to add this particular entry box in my root, right? I have already added this in my root because I have told that this particular entry box will be created in this particular root. So as of now, if I just try to run the code, you will see that this is what we have, right? This is what we have, but still we cannot see our entry box anywhere. Okay, let me close this. Now what we can do is we can say, let's assign this input entry box as a grid in our window. So I can say dot grid. In this grid, this is going to take the row number 0 and the column number 0. And this is going to span for 4 columns. This is going to take the area of 4 columns. So it is going to start from row number 0, column number 0, but it will take 4 columns area. So now if I just run the code again, you will see that this is what we have. But this is a very useful data we have as of now. I can enter something here, right? So I've got a box, right? But this doesn't look good as of now, which is fine. We are going to make sure that this looks good. In this particular input entry, which is actually equal to the tk.entry, let's do some configuration. First of all, let's add a font, and let us say the font is actually going to be type of Arial. That's the font family, and the size is going to be 24. Okay. Now let's add another argument which is called insert width, right? Now this insert width, I'll explain you what is this. So insert width for now you can set as 2, and let's also set 2 more arguments, and let's call them as width and border width. So let us say width is equal to 15, and the border width, let me just say enter here so that you can see the whole code. So the border width, you can set this as 4, right? And there is another argument called as bd. Let's set it as 10 for now. Okay. Now these are all the configuration we have done in our entry box, and if I just run the code again, you will see that this is how it looks now. Now you will see that we are able to type something and it looks good, right? So basically the font is now Arial, the font family is Arial, and the font size is 24, right? Now let's play around with some value. If I say insert width is 20, not 2, this is to understand what is insert width. Now if I just say 2, 0, 3 or something, right? You will see that this blinking, whatever you can call it as, this blinking thing, this is having some width or some area, right? It is occupying a lot of area. We don't want this. We can just keep it as, instead of 20, we can keep it as 2. And let's run the code again. And now you will notice that this something is blinking here, right? This is the cursor. This cursor has a size. We are just setting the size of that cursor. Now talking about the width, if I just set the width as, let's say, 115 and close the window and run it again, now you will see that this window area or the text area is really big, right? So basically we are setting our text area, and then we are setting our border width, right? The border of our text area. So we can just keep the width as 15, the border width as 4, and this bd, if I just make it as 100, Run this again. So now you will see something. It looks really bad, right? So we just need to keep this BD as a low value, around 10 should be good. So now if I just run the code again, this is how it looks like. Now we need to add some buttons. We have the entry. We need to add some buttons, right? Now think about this. What are the different buttons your code needs? So I first of all need buttons for 0, 1, 2 up to 9. And I need a button C which is going to clear everything. I need a button minus, plus, multiply and divide, right? And equal to. These are the different buttons I need, right? So let me actually create those buttons. I can say buttons is actually equal to an array, right? Let me get rid of this. And this array is going to have some data. All right. So this is going to have 7, and I'm adding few more arguments, and I will tell you what are those arguments. This is the row in which my data will be added and the column, right? So I want my calculator to first show 7, then 8, then 9. 7, 8, 9. Then it will have a divide symbol. Now in the next row, I want a 4, then a 5, then a 6, then a multiply. Then in the next row, I want 1, 2, 3 and a minus. Then in the next row, I want a 0 and a dot. Also, I need a dot and a equal to and a plus. And in the next row, I need a C. So this is how I want my calculator to look like, right? So this is row number 1, row number 2, row number 3, row number 4, and row number 5, right? So this is the data I have to add. 7 is the row, like 7, 4, 1, 0, and C. They are the column number 1. 8, 5, 2, and dot is column number 2. 9, 6, 3, and equal to is column number 3, and the last one is the column number 4. Index wise, it is column number 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So we just need to add that information. The first is going to be the text, which is going to be shown in our button, and this is the row and this is the column. Right now we are just creating the data, right, for all the buttons. So I have the data created. I'll just copy it here to save the time. But you can just see and observe that what we have a 7 which is in the row number 1, column number 0. 8 is in the row number 1, column number 1. 9 is in the row number 1, column number 2, and divided by symbol is in the row number 1, column number 3. Similarly, we have the data for all the other buttons. All right. Now we're actually going to create a function which is going to create our buttons. These are just a list, right? It is a list of tuples. It's not actually the buttons, but we need to create those buttons, right? So what I can actually do is I can actually come out of this def init method and create another method, and let's call that method as def space create underscore button. This is going to take the self argument, then the text which is going to be shown in the button, then the row number and the column number in which our button will be there, right? Now to create a button, we can simply say btn is equal to tk dot button. This is how you create a button on a tk window. First of all, you need to pass the root window on which you want to have your button. So I can say self dot root. Then what is the text on my button? So first of all, let me give a comma. Then text is actually equal to text. Let's add some padding. So I can say padding x is equal to 20. Padding of y is equal to 20. This is to make sure that our button actually looks good and the text is within some area of our button. I can just copy this font property from here. So I can say font is actually equal to Arial, and the font size should be 24. No, I think it should be 14. Let's keep it as 14. The font is Arial and size is 14. And also I want to have some functionality associated with the button click. We are going to create that functionality. But for now, let's do one thing. Let us say btn dot grid. Let's add that as a grid in which, like, we can set the row if it is equal to row, and the column is actually equal to column, right? So we have created a method which can help us create a button on our root window, right? And it will add the row number and column number. Basically, it will add our button in the grid in this particular row and in this particular column, which is going to be passed here. Now we have created this list. How is this going to help us? I can run a simple loop. I can say for text, comma, row, comma, column in buttons. I can simply say self dot create button. I can make use of this create button method which we just created, and I can pass the text, the row, and the column. And now you will see some magic. Okay, I entered some terminal by mistake, I think. So let me exit this terminal, clear the console, and run the code for now. If I just run the code, okay, it says it cannot open this file because the file is not here. I think I'm in the wrong directory. I can say cd space GUI calculator, right? In this, I can say python space main.py, hit enter, and this is what we have, right? We have the text box in which we can enter our expression. We have our buttons. If we click it, nothing happens because we have not set anything to happen as of now. We are going to do this, but for now, our calculator looks good, right? Next thing is we need to create a function which is going to do something, or which is going to be executed when we click on the button. So I can say def on underscore button underscore click, right? And I can say self space char, or the text, whatever text is there on my button. Now, if the text on my button is actually equal to C, right? Basically this particular button which we have, this button C. it means clear our text box, right? So if somebody clicks on this button and the text on that button is C, in that case, we just need to clear our expression. So I can say self dot expression is actually going to be equal to empty, and self dot input underscore var, which is actually holding the value in your text box or the text entry. We just need to set the value as self dot expression. Now try to understand what's happening here. If I click the C button, the expression, the output which we are holding the output in this expression variable which we have created here, right? We have created this expression variable as an instance variable, right? We are setting this as empty, and we are also setting the input box data as empty. Another condition is elif text is actually equal to. If somebody is clicking on equal to, what should happen? I can say self dot expression in this case is equal to be. Now we are going to create another function which is going to evaluate our expression. So let us say we have that function created. If we have that function created and the name of that function is, let us say, evaluate expression, and in this I need to pass my data which is there in my text box. So I can say self dot input underscore var dot get. I need to get my data. Whatever is the calculation happened here, I need to update my entry box. So I can say self dot input underscore var dot set this as self dot expression, right? Because self dot expression, this particular variable is going to hold the data. We are going to set our box, the entry box value as the expression's output we have got, right? In case somebody clicks on equal to. I will explain you the code again a little bit. You will get everything, okay? Else, if it is not C, if it is not equal to it, then it is some number or dot or the mathematical symbol plus, minus, divide, or equal to, right? In that case, we are just going to say self dot expression is equal to self dot expression plus whatever is the character in string format, right? Not character, it is actually the text. We are receiving the text, right? The next is self dot input underscore var dot set it as self dot expression. So we are almost done, but we need to make sure that whenever somebody clicks on the button, this on button click function executes. So let's get back to into our create button functionality. And if you notice here we are creating the button, right? In this, we just need to pass another argument called as command, and this will actually be equal to a lambda expression. We can say lambda, and the value is going to be self dot on button click, whatever the function we created, and we need to pass our text, right? This is the text we have, and now I think it looks good. But we have to first create this function, evaluate expression, and let's create this function in another file. Let's call that file as logic.py. Now this is a good practice if you just separate your code in separate files. So we are going to have our utility function in a different file. Actually, both the files are in the same folder, logic.py and main.py. So I can say def evaluate. Let's create the function evaluate underscore expression, and it is going to accept an expression, which is the mathematical expression, and we are going to use the Python's inbuilt function called as eval. I can say result is equal to eval. Let's do the evaluation of the expression which is being passed, right? And whatever is the output, just return the output as string. Now, why I have kept this in a try block? Because there can be some exceptions as well, right? One of the exception in a mathematical calculation is zero division error. When somebody try to divide a number by zero, so I can say except zero division error. And in case there is a zero division error, we are just going to return a message error division by zero. And there can be some generic exception as well. The exception which we don't even know. So I can say except exception as well, right? In case of this particular error, we can just simply return a simple message of error, right? Error, simple. As of now, it's very simple, right? Now we just need this particular function evaluate expression in our main.py. So at the top I can say from logic import, from logic we need to import the evaluate expression, and now it looks good. I think the code looks good, the code looks complete. And now in this case, if I just clear the console and try to run our code again, this is how it looks like. Now I can say 78, and you will see that our expression is getting typed here. And how is this happening? Try to understand that. When I click on 9, what's happening, right? Try to understand this. Every button has a command set that if somebody clicks on the button, on button click will be called and the text will be passed. The text is what's written on the button. If I say 9, 9 is written on the button, on button click is passed, or not passed, but on button click is called, and the data passed in this on button click is 9. Now text is not C, text is not equal to, text is 9, right? So we are going to go in the else, and initially the self dot expression is empty, right? You notice here it is empty. So what will happen? The self dot expression is right now equal to empty plus 9. So it is 9 as of now. And we are saying that self dot input underscore var dot set. Now whatever change we are going to do in this input var variable, we are going to make use of this set and get method. Basically, this input var is actually a tk.string variable. It is a string variable of tk type. So it has set and get method. We are setting its value to the current expression, which is actually equal to 9, right? So we actually typed 7, then 8, then 9. So 7 is being typed, 8 is being typed, and 9 is being typed. So self.expression and self.input_var are having the same value. But we are using two variables because one of the variable is actually associated directly with this box, right? Now, when I say plus and when I say 3 and I say equal to, the moment I say equal to, let's try to understand what's happening. I say equal to, then this will be called, right? Basically on button click will be called, but it will go in the equal to functionality. So the expression is now equal to evaluate expression, and we are going to pass whatever is there in the box. We are going to say self.input_var.get. This is going to get the current expression, pass it into the evaluate expression function, and the evaluate expression function is going to do the evaluation and return the result. Once you have the result, you will just say our current self.input_var.set is actually equal to the self.expression, which is 792 based on the calculation which we have done. So I think this calculator looks good, and you can try all the different functionality like divided by 2 equal to 396.0 or plus 2.6 equal to 398.6. And now if you try to divide by 0, you will see that it is error division by 0, right? We are actually writing a big message, so we can change the message from here, right? Or we can just make the the window resizable. We can set it as true. You can play around with the values, but the main logic is clear, right? Adding the buttons, adding the logic to the button, having the text box, and just working on the text box using two variables, self.expression and self.input_var. I can also say C, and this C is actually going to make sure that everything is cleared. When your text is C, expression is cleared, and that expression is set into the box as well, right? So basically, expression is going to hold our value. We have the full control on the expression variable, and input var is directly associated with the text box. So that is why we have created two different variables. Now I can say 10, I'm using the keyboard, plus 10 minus 90. Press equal to, it is minus 70. And now if I say, let us say plus, and I click on equal to, then this is an error, right? So now you see it is an error. And basically the logic.py is handling this because it is an exception in the eval function. So it is coming to the exception and it is returning error. So I think that's it for this particular project, guys. If you see the project, it is really good and it is very simple. And I know I have taken a lot of time, but I have tried to explain you each and everything of how to think about creating such a project. So as of now, I'm not pushing this on GitHub, but if you really want it, I will give you the GitHub link for this, right? So guys, I think that's it for this video. If you like this project, then make sure that you hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed to my channel as of now, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. I want to see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching this one.